Where the posture therapy revolution really comes into play here is with this strap. Quick description: I go underneath the knees, I go between the strap and my groin, and then I place each lead on the corresponding foot. This strap prevents my legs from being able to straighten, and this really stabilizes my hips and pelvis to a large degree. And now I have a very fine degree of control over how much of an S curve I want to introduce into my spine. What is the exercise towel settle, or sometimes called hooklying on rolls? Well, at the root of it, it's a super simple exercise that you can do with two rolls, where I would put one underneath my lower back, I would put one underneath my neck, and I would just lay in this position for an extended period of time to allow the natural S curve of my spine to be slowly reestablished. If I were to do this 10 minutes a day, every single day for several months, and if I had a posterior curve in my posterior pelvis and a C curve to my spine rather than a natural S curve, this is one component of a posture therapy routine that can be used to retrain that S curve of your spine. Now, this is a pretty simple exercise, and I've never even covered it on my channel before because it is so simple, but I mention it in my book, Psychedelics, Chronic Pain, and the Posturedelic Hypothesis. And because I mentioned it in my book, I need to have a resource for people to learn more about it. So this is a great exercise to explore a little more in depth. Let's get into it. By the way, my name is Posture Monster John. I'm the only psychedelic posture therapist in the known universe. If you're curious about psychedelic assisted posture therapy, or what I call posturedelic therapy, don't forget to check out my book coming out June 4th. Now, the most common modification you're going to see to hook lying on rolls is simply putting a strap around the knees or putting a block between the knees. Let's cover the strap around the knees first. And what that looks like is simply getting into position, putting a strap around the knees. You want to have about a fist width between your knees, a fist that can easily go in and out. And then you'll just place your knees here and or place your feet on the ground with your knees at 90 degrees. And I could press out against the strap and release in slow, methodical, consistent movements. And what this is doing is reteaching my hips how to deal with the stress of hip abduction, which is moving the knees away from the center line of the body. And we are teaching the hips how to do abduction in a more equal manner, because when I press on the strap, assuming that I press and I'm very methodical about pressing and releasing equally, and I don't let the strap go to one side, I am teaching the hips how to do that motion equally. This is also going to have effects on femur rotation and some other aspects of hip function, but primarily we're working on evening out hip abduction. So that's the first most common, or one of the most common modifications you'll see. The next most common modification is simply placing a block between the knees like this. Just how the strap was teaching my hips how to abduct equally, moving the knees away from the center of the body, this exercise is teaching the hips how to adduct equally, or moving the knees towards the center of the line of the body. And we're doing this while we're reteaching this proper S curve in the spine. So this is a great both these exercises are great for people who need to build lower body strength, stability, and bilateral function while also retraining a S curve into the spine. Where the posture therapy revolution really comes into play here is with this strap. And I'm not going to cover too much of of how to put it on. If you want detailed instructions about how to use this strap, go to part 1 of the posture therapy revolution. That's linked in the description down below. But quick description: I go underneath the knees, I go between the strap and my groin, and then I place each lead on the corresponding foot, just like that. Depending on your height and how thick or thin your thighs are, you'll use different loops than I use. We're all different sizes, so we use different loops. And from here, I can then get into the hook lying position, just like this. And let's see. What is different about this position? Well, for starters, I have this strap prevents my legs from being able to straighten. See, I can't straighten my legs. The strap stops them. So I can get full quad activation uh, by pressing against this strap. And this really stabilizes my hips and pelvis to a large degree. And now I have a very fine degree of control over how much of an S curve I want to introduce into my spine. This is great for people for whom having a roll like this is painful, but they need to begin introducing an S curve. Here, now I don't even necessarily need the roll. I can get this to a point where I can put tension on the strap and I can use my own musculature to begin introducing that spinal curve at a very, very small degree. Or as I get more used to it, I can introduce more of a spinal curve. And instead of using a crutch like this roll, I'm reintroducing it myself, and I'm able to reintroduce it myself because of the hip stability provided by the strap on my lower body. Now, I can even incorporate those previous two modifications. I can grab my block, and while I'm pressing against the straps with my quads, also integrate these knee block squeezes. I can put the strap around my knees, take the block out, put the strap there, and squeeze out against that strap as well if I wanted to. So I can still do those other two modifications, but now I am getting my own musculature involved in exactly how much spinal or lumbar extension I want to reintroduce, and I am squeezing against the squeezing against the block, reintroducing that equal hip adduction at the same time. And this is a much more active version of, or it's accomplishing similar goals to the hook lying on rolls or the towel settle position, but it's a more active version of it. And it really encourages a more active mind body connection because I am learning exactly how my back wants to go into extension, and I'm getting to learn how to engage those muscles in a conscious manner. So those are all the ways that the hook lying on roll or towel settle position can be modified. And what we're going to now, we looked at using the block or the strap. Next week, in the next part of the Posture Therapy Revolution series, we're going to be talking about how you can, in this same position, use a block and a strap at the same time, but not both on the knees. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Those exercises are called double doubles or double switches, and then we can get into modifications of double lifts, double switch lifts, and of course, we can even introduce modifications that involve this multi-loop strap to the double doubles, the double switches, the double lifts, all those exercises, and we can keep on getting this posture therapy revolution moving by introducing all these different ways. And it's not just the lower body. There is multiple ways to use this strap on the upper body to lock out compensations. I'm going to give you just a little taste of it right now, but it's an analogous way of putting this strap on the upper body. In a few weeks, we'll get to some of these exercises, but I can do things like chest openers without even having a wall here. And there's lots of interesting things that we can do with these straps, looking at restoring rotator cuff function, restoring shoulder function, restoring scapular function, and restoring all types of shoulder rotational abilities. So there's lots to come in the posture therapy revolution. Hope you stick around, and that's all I got for you. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, do all the things.